Marcus wiped the grease from his hands as he stepped back to admire his work. The mini-ship wasn't much to look at, barely 3 meters long, cobbled together from salvaged thruster components and a modified atmospheric processor housing, but it would fly. More importantly, it would give Zeff mobility again. The Cytherian lay motionless on the garage floor, his 6 limbs arranged in what Marcus had learned was a position of gratitude. The neural spinal damage from the crash landing had left everything below Zeff's primary torso completely paralyzed. His species' natural ability to navigate 3-dimensional space through electromagnetic field manipulation was useless without functional limb nodes. The gravitational compensation matrix should account for your mass distribution, Marcus explained, running his hand along the ship's sleek hull. I've programmed the neural interface to respond to the same bioelectric patterns you'd normally use for limb control. Zeff's translator crackled to life. The small device Marcus had jerry-rigged from communication salvage, producing its mechanical approximation of speech. "You have given me the stars again, Marcus Chen. My people will remember this kindness." Marcus had found Zeff 3 weeks ago in the wreckage of what appeared to be a long-range scout vessel, buried in the desert 20 kilometers outside Meridian Station. The crash site was old months, maybe years, and officially didn't exist. Marcus kept his salvage operations quiet, away from the prying eyes of the Terran Colonial Authority. What he hadn't expected was to find a survivor. The Cytherians were known to the human colonies, though contact was limited. They were traders primarily, occasionally selling advanced materials or unusual technologies in exchange for cultural artifacts and biological samples. The Authority maintained strict protocols about alien contact, none of which included private citizens providing medical aid to stranded extraterrestrials. Marcus hadn't cared about protocols. He'd seen intelligence in those large, iridescent eyes and couldn't leave a sentient being to die. The mini-ship's fusion cell hummed to life as Marcus initialized the startup sequence. The gravitational field generators created a faint distortion in the air around the craft, and Zeff's vestigial wings' beautiful gossamer appendages, that were now purely decorative, rustled with what Marcus recognized as excitement. "The neural crown should feel familiar," Marcus said, lifting the sleek circlet he'd designed. "I based the interface architecture on scans of your natural bioelectric patterns." As Zeff settled the crown onto his elongated skull, the ship responded immediately. It lifted smoothly from the garage floor, rotating with fluid grace as Zeff tested the controls. Through the neural link, his paralyzed limbs were replaced by electromagnetic thrusters, gravitational field manipulators, and inertial dampeners. For the first time since Marcus had known him, Zeff's translator produced what sounded like laughter. "The sensation is extraordinary." Zeff's voice echoed from the ship's external speakers. "It is as if I have grown new limbs of metal and energy. You have restored not just my mobility, but my independence." Marcus felt a warm satisfaction watching Zeff pilot the craft through increasingly complex maneuvers around the garage. The ship was crude by Cytherian standards, he was sure of that, but it worked. It would let Zeff return to space, to his people, to his life. That satisfaction lasted exactly 4 days. The seismic sensors Marcus had placed around his property were military surplus, sensitive enough to detect incoming aircraft from 50 kilometers out. The signature was unmistakable: fusion drives, massive displacement, multiple escort fighters. A Terran Colonial Authority battlecruiser heading directly for his coordinates. Marcus found Zeff practicing aerial maneuvers in the canyon behind the garage, the mini-ship dancing between rock formations with balletic precision. The neural interface had adapted quickly to Zeff's thought patterns, making the craft an extension of his consciousness. "Company's coming," Marcus called through the comm unit. "See a military. Big ship, heading this way fast." Zeff's ship immediately pivoted toward Marcus, hovering at eye level. Through the transparent aluminum canopy, Marcus could see the alien's expression concern, but also something that might have been resignation. "They know I am here," Zeff said simply. "How?" "My ship's emergency beacon. It broadcasts continuously until manually disabled. I could not reach the controls after the crash." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "So they've known about you this whole time." "My people monitor the frequencies. When the signal stopped 4 days ago, when I first flew your creation, they would have investigated. And they would have contacted your authorities." The thruster signatures were growing stronger. Marcus estimated 20 minutes until arrival. "You need to go," Marcus said. "Now? Head for deep space, find your people, and abandon you to face their questions alone. You saved my life, Marcus Chen. I will not repay that debt with cowardice." Before Marcus could argue, Zeff was already piloting the mini-ship back toward the garage. By the time the first TC fighters screamed overhead, both alien and mechanic were waiting in the open bay doors. The battlecruiser TC-S Meridian settled onto the desert floor with massive fusion plumes that turned sand to glass. Colonel Sarah Hayes emerged from the primary airlock with a full diplomatic escort, her expression carefully neutral as she approached. "Mr. Chen," she said, her voice carrying across the distance. "I'm here about your passenger." Zeff powered down the mini-ship and removed the neural crown, his translator humming to life. "I am Zeff Keeler 9 of the Cytherian Trade Collective. I claim responsibility for any violations of your colonial protocols." Colonel Hayes stopped 10 meters away, her eyes moving between Marcus and the obviously alien craft. "That's an interesting ship, Mr. Chen. Did you build it?" Marcus met her gaze steadily. "Salvage work. Someone needed help. The Cytherian government has been very concerned about their missing scout," Hayes continued. "They've offered significant technological compensation for his safe return. Particularly interested in the innovative mobility solutions someone provided." Marcus blinked. "Compensation? Medical technology, advanced materials, propulsion systems." Hayes smiled slightly. "Seems like their people are very grateful for creative problem-solving, especially the kind that helps their citizens maintain their dignity." She gestured toward the cruiser, where Marcus could now see additional figures emerging, tall, graceful shapes that shared Zeff's basic anatomy. "Mr. Chen," Hayes said, "how would you like a consulting contract with the Colonial Authority? I think we could use someone with your particular talents." As Zeff's people approached, their movements filled with what Marcus was learning to recognize as joy. He realized that sometimes the best salvage wasn't metal or technology. Sometimes it was hope.